The views expressed on Talk Real Solutions, hosted by Tyrone Thompson at talkrealsolutions.com, are the views of Tyrone Thompson and do not reflect the views of talkrealsolutions.com, YouTube, or etc. The content here belongs to Talk Real Solutions and its many contributors. Views and opinions expressed by all contributors belong to them and not talkrealsolutions.com or Tyrone Thompson, the host, or etc. All data and information provided on the site is for informational purposes only. Talk Real Solutions makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, correctness, suitability, or validity of any information on this site and will not be liable for any errors, omissions, or delays in this information or any losses, injuries, or damages arising from its display or use. All information is provided on an as-is basis.
Welcome to another night on Talk Real Solutions. I am your host tonight, Sister Nobody. The number to call in is 717-908-1834. The access code is 917-324. Press star 61. Matter of fact, your mics is open. As you come in the door, the mics is open. Before I get into my topic, I want to say I was kind of all over the place this week as to what to speak about tonight. One of the things I was looking at was the gold mining here in America, because I was under the assumption that the gold rush, the California gold rush, been done, been over with, until I looked. And I was kind of taken back at how many states are actually gold mining. And the amount that is being exported out of the country. So I was looking at that as something to speak about tonight. And then I was also looking at the Annabella Wars and the Revolutionary Wars and the land grabs that was going on, the land grants that was going on during those times, as to what lands were taken and where they was taken from. And under military, basically military, because a lot of the colonels and generals, they was getting all these properties during those times. So I was looking at that as to something to speak about, but I kind of changed it up to what tonight's topic is, which is military-controlled countries. Is it a good or a bad thing? And, I'm going to need Talk Real Solutions to help me out with this, because I'm kind of on the fence with it. For example, the world right now is watching Ibrahim Torres with a military coup in Burkina Faso since 2022. We're just now hearing about it in 2025. We're just now hearing about it. Serving as the interim president. So I guess he went in there, he overthrew the presidency, and it's been military occupied since then, right? The people are in full support of him. They out there rallying right now, supporting him. We have countries such as Russia and China. They're in full support of him. I was looking at a website called lingsayinstitute.org, and they were speaking about the potential psychological weakness that may have the potential of occurring if he continue to govern govern from a military coup. Um, so they listed quite a few things about how it can lead to paranoia and, him scuffling around his military trust issues. They listed a whole bunch of things that could happen if he continued to govern in this manner. So here in the States, we call this martial law, and we oppose any form of military governing the people and assisting law enforcement in carrying out domestic policy. We are totally against that. Here in the States, none of us want to live under military rule. I'm saying this to say, because I think it needs to be said that Ibrahim Torres, is the leader that the people want. So why not allow them to vote for him? Why is he putting it off? You've been military occupying this African country, Burkina Faso, been military occupying it since 2022. Why not run for presidency? So this way your role could be more respected in the outside world, if I'm saying it correctly. And maybe somebody else can correct me on this. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with it. But again, the people want him, so allow them to vote for him. Military coups, military enforced policy on the people is never a good thing. I don't think it is. And that's my 2 cents to it. This is a rough one because I do not have a guest speaker, and this is a rough one because I got to sit up here and hold the fort down until someone comes in and gives their opinion. And looking at the state of the world, human rights crisis is historic. You got Sudan in the civil war for the last 2 years have displaced 11 million people. You've got detention camps for children in Syria. Yemen is under attack, leaving women and children starving. It's terrible. Russia has killed more Ukrainians, civilians in 2024 than in the no! I don't know what just happened. My stupid pad just started updating. So, Tyrone, I don't know if my keyboard is up. Technical difficulties. Well, it doesn't matter. I guess somebody else is logged in, so it's kind of being held down. But we got a crisis going on in the world.
I just heard you. Everybody can still hear you, but what you saying? You can't see the switchboard.
Okay, no, I was saying that the keypad, it went updating on me. When I looked at it, it was updating. So it kind of shut I'm glad everybody could still hear me good. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to log back in. But everybody's lines is open. I didn't close anybody's lines. I didn't do a Q&A because I just wanted people to be able to come in and speak. Oh, Lord. So do I need to log back in or no? I'm cool.
Well, you can let it update. Oh, everybody can hear you speaking, so I guess that's what's important. So
cool.
It can go through the update or whatever.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, y'all know what number to call in. The number to call in is 717 81834. The code is 917324. Dial *61. Or matter of fact, your mic is open anyway to chime in. And again, I'm talking about military-controlled countries. I know I wouldn't want to be in one. I'm sure Tyrone wouldn't want to be in one. So I don't know why we're sitting up here applauding that Ibrahim Torres is military controlling a country. I don't know why I'm kind of on the fence with it. I don't know why this is so applaudable. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. But let's see what else. So that's where I'm at right now with this. I don't see it ending well if he continues to govern as a military coup. I don't see it ending well for him. It's gonna reverse itself, and soon his popularity is gonna go right down the drain, and all his hard work is gonna go right down the drain. Because all it takes is one officer, military officer, to do something against the people, and the people is gonna turn against them. And we know how crooked people could be. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. And it's probably best that he run for presidency, get the presidency, and then the world can view him as, okay, this man is governing his country from a political standpoint and not a military standpoint. I mean, that's where I stand at. Everybody, mic is open. You could chime in anytime you want. And again, the number to call in is 717-908-1834. And the code is 917-324. And again, another thing is you got to be careful with Russia, because Russia is promoting a lot of propaganda based on what analysts are saying. They are promoting a lot of propaganda throughout Africa and throughout the world, which is lies and false information. So he has to be careful, and he has to watch what Russia is speaking about when it comes to him and his country, because we know how people are. We know how governments and countries are who have other agendas. And again, this is not going to go well if you continue to govern in this manner. And whoever's on the line, y'all can speak up on it. We're talking about military-controlled countries. Is it a good or a bad thing? I don't think it's a good thing. It may start off well. Yay for the, hey, he took over. Everything is looking better. But it could turn on him. And that's the real deal. Let's see. Let me open up. Let me see. Sister Ottawa, are you on the line? This your boy. You can speak on it. Sister Ottawa. Anyway, we was talking about it the other night, kind of vaguely. She's a supporter of Ibrahim Torres, and she says the country has him, and the country's in full support of him. But I don't think he should continue as a military coup. I think he should be elected as president, get an election going, be elected as president. And I keep rambling and saying this because this should be said throughout the country. This should be said everywhere. We should be continuously saying this so that he himself can understand that, hey, I need to change. 5 years. I mean, he really want to stay as an intern with a military coup for 5 more years. You already been doing this since 2022. It doesn't make any sense. Again, I'm on the fence with this. I don't know. And right now I'm just kind of rambling because I don't have a guest speaker tonight. So it's easier for me to ask questions and for the person to speak on it. But this is about as far as my brain is going right now. This is about as far as my brain is going right now. Matter of fact, let me look up some articles that is in support of what I'm saying when it comes to yeah. Okay, so again, as I was saying, false propaganda put out. They're saying that cracks appear in Torres' YouTube persona. Uh-oh. Well, again, it's saying what I'm saying. The security crisis is deepening in many different ways. Um, when you have accused neighboring, oh boy, conspirators, the plan. See, that's what they were speaking about when they say paranoia. He's accusing his neighboring companies of neighboring countries of conspiring against him and planning to attack. And that right there is a problem. That right there is a problem because at the end of the day, that's going to mean war for other countries that are surrounding that area. Um, this is not good. This is not good. They got a lot of African names in here, so I don't want to read this article because um, they have a lot of African names that I cannot pronounce. Oh boy. But anyway, number to call in. That's about it. That's all I got to say about it. Tyrone, you can help me out with this one. I don't know. I don't know. Um, Tonight the topic is military controlled countries. Is it good or is it bad or is it a bad thing? And we have a couple of people on the line. Anytime y'all want to chime in, y'all can chime in. The lines are open. I don't think I put it on Q&A. Yep, the lines are open. And I already said what I had to say. If anybody was listening, I already said what I had to say about it.
Yeah, nobody solution. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Solutions, go ahead. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about you?
Good, good,
Good. Look
good.
here, I didn't get all of your intro. You were talking about militarily controlled countries, is it?
Yes, sir. Is it a good or a bad thing? And I used Ibrahim Torres as an example. Um, but yeah, that's what I was speaking about.
Well, I don't know. That doesn't seem to work out too well. I mean, if you look at the U.S., which is an experiment in liberty, it has had a separation of the military from the civilian, and the civilians control the military. I don't know. Having been in the military, I would say no. The military is a useful tool, but I think it can easily become dictatorial if it is indeed the ruling power, because it already has the power to abuse. So I would say no. Uh, Countries run by a military would not be, it would be at odds for liberty, I would say, certainly personal liberty. We can look at countries like China or just communist countries, period, that have socialist.
So you view it as a communist thing to do to run a country or govern a country based on military coups or martial law.
Yeah, well, that's certainly a feature of that type of government. And you got to realize, there's always the juxtaposition of the liberty of the people versus the liberty of the elite. And you're always going to have, there's always going to be a little bit back and forth. But in countries that are run by, obviously, dictators or the military, there's going to be more power in the hands of the upper echelon. And that's to crush the people that are beneath them or their subjects. So I would think, although the U.S. doesn't do it perfectly, I would think that is the better prescription for a fulfilled life. Now, some people may differ, but then I say to them, well, point to me a system that is working according to the way that you feel it should. And generally, they can't point to any functional country. So go ahead.
Under military rule. I got you. Well, this guy wants to do it for Ibrahim Torres. He's been doing this since 2022, and we're just finding out. Well, I am just finding out about it in 2025. But he wants to continue to do this for another 5 years because he's stating that more things need to be done instead of having an election and people voting. Hey, he got the support of the people. I don't know why he's in opposition of being voted in as the president. I don't understand that. Is there what do you think? Is something wrong with there's something wrong with that, correct? Or am I tripping?
Well, let me just say this. First of all, I'm not familiar with the instant. Maybe if you can just give me a quick refresher. What country are you referring to?
Burkina Faso, Africa.
Oh, okay. And
yeah,
but wait, Africa. That's what, 3.5 times the size of the U.S. Which specific country in Africa are you referring?
Burkina Faso is the country that I'm referring to.
Burkina, I don't know that country. What was it previously?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I didn't look that far deep into it. It wasn't renamed by him. It was renamed by the former president, Burkina Faso.
Let me say this.
So
I just take a little?
Go ahead. Look real quick.
No. Look. You once asked me, and this dovetails to what you're saying, I think. And you asked me about some economics issues or finance issues. And power is always going to polarize around that, whether it's the ruling elite or whomever. Because you notice, say, for example, our government, they kiss up to the wealthy. And that's pretty much always going to be the case. So I've never turned anybody down for that. I just had something to do. And so if you still want to do that, I have some ideas. But I would say that the wealthy people almost always do better in any economy than those who are not. Would you concur?
Okay, I concur with that. Yeah. So,
right. So that's it.
Okay. Go ahead, I'm listening.
No, go on. Because
No. So you're saying that to say what when it comes to the military? You're saying that regardless they're going to make their money, or you're saying that?
Well, I'm saying there's always a bit of peace between the power structure and the money structure. There's always some peace. If you look in our country, for example, the politicians kiss up to Wall Street for the most part. So I'm just simply saying if one, a person can try and hold back the dam if they want to. I noticed that doesn't work out too well. It's best to learn the system, and then I use the word manipulate/exploit, and I'm using those in the most positive sense. Exploit means to put to productive use, and manipulate means to skillfully handle. So least in my reading of history, the rule is usually that the people who invent something and are able to garner resources and have those resources somewhat protected are always seen in the most positive light. I mean, even in China, for example, or Russia, they talk about the oligarchs or the oligarchy, and they taught us that was a smaller percentage than the monopoly. You know, you have a monopoly, then you have an oligarchy. So I'm thinking, now I just happen to have an article open here, How Much Money is Enough? And I was just reading it when I dialed in. I was going to listen to this show in the background and read this article. And so even there, you know, it's impossible to get away from the wealth scenario. And I think what you are going to embark upon, I'm almost certain, is you're going to talk about how the lower class is abused by the rich and powerful, correct?
No. I was strictly speaking about military-controlled countries. And it's not about the upper class. It's about the impact that it has on the people, okay? Negative or positive, that's where I was going with it. Now, if you want to bring up rich and poor, that's fine. But
right, but let me stop you right there. You can't look at that in isolation. You can't. That is never in isolation. That is always in relation to something else. And does that make sense? Do you follow me? Okay.
I got
the
you.
military.
I got you.
Excuse me?
I said I understand.
Yeah,
when I say I got you, I understand.
Yeah, it's been said that a military travels on its stomach. So a military realize this is very profitable here. I want to stay on your topic. But look, a military can't exist without resources. They need money to buy food. They need money to buy bullets and bombs, right? So you don't get away from money no matter how you slice it. A military can't do a damn thing. They would be like the rest if they didn't have resources. They've got to buy things. Go ahead.
No, I said you're right. You're right.
Yeah, a military can't function for a day without resources. I mean, how can they do their thing if they don't have, and they've got to pay the people. You've heard of mercenaries, right? There's some mercenary effect to a military. They've got to pay the people that follow their orders. Those people don't, they're not working for free. Go ahead.
No, you are absolutely right. So who is backing him? Well, from the looks of it, Russia is backing him, but I don't know if they're backing him financially with this. And from the looks of it, China is backing him, but I don't know if they're financially backing him. You get what I'm saying?
Well, I can tell you this. Backing always means financial, in either directly or indirectly.
Okay.
That's what backing means. Oh, they've got to be backing them with...
some people, some countries say, I support you, and they're not backing you, financially. They're not backing you with nothing but words, just to scare off whoever is your opposition. You get what I'm saying?
Well, no, because they can't. Words are fine, but words don't really cut the mustard, as it were. Those words have to translate into tangible things like weaponry, food, munitions. It has to translate into something. If you're just talking about a cheerleader, okay. But backing, as I understand backing, generally refers to some tangible resource or resources.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Let me ask you a question. In your opinion, has United States ever been under military rule?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, yeah, only briefly. And the United States, above almost all other nations, has been the most blessed. We had the Revolutionary War, of course, and we had the Civil War. Those are the only two wars. We've had a few other skirmishes, but very minor, relatively speaking. But obviously, the Revolutionary War was a big one, and obviously, the Civil War was a big one. So those, I think, are the only thing I could relate to in terms of what you just asked.
Military, right. So you say those were big ones. Those were great, I guess, in your opinion. Great. Did you notice something about them, about the land grants that were given to, let's say, colonels and people in the military? Did you notice that?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's okay. It dovetails with what I've been telling you all along. I mean, people of any insight are always looking for a palpable outcome, and that's one of them. And I may look. I'm a sort of Western aficionado, and you notice a lot of those colonels or major, they would retain their title even in civilian life. If you recall, you notice they would call certain, and these were always people of prominence. So this dovetails with what you are saying, I do believe. They would talk major this or major that or colonel. Do you identify with what I'm saying?
Yes, that's true.
The person was no longer in the military. They were now a civilian, a prominent, upstanding, respectable civilian, but they retained their military title, and they lived a great life. So yeah.
Based on that, true. That is true. Well, so I guess you're saying that this is a good thing as far as military-controlled countries. This is a good thing.
No. I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I was just commenting on what you were saying. No, my position is it's not not good for military to be in control. Because look, I remember our one boss I had that was in the military. He always used to say the purpose of the military is to break things and kill people. Right?
Ooh,
that's their mission. Right. So that's not very conducive to civilian life, would you say?
Correct. I agree. But I mean, everybody around the world is applauding this man for his leadership role in that country, and I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense because I don't think anybody would want to live under military rule. Yeah, it's okay. He came, he overthrew the government, but now what? Right.
Well, I'm going to have to read up on what you're saying. I'm not up to speed on
definitely.
that. I'm up to speed, of course, with the principle of how humans behave in war and peacetime. But that specific situation, I would have to brief myself. I would have to brief myself.
Do brief yourself on that one because he done kicked France out, and he has the United States upset with him. So, to where they want to send in a quote unquote, I don't know how true it is, but they want to send in a form of military to take the country back over from the from the United States point of view. They want to send in the military to take the country over. Because
right. Well, I would say to you, look, I talk about the law of the jungle, or teeth and claw, right? And I mean, people have cooled down a little bit. There used to be what was known as the season of war. I study, do biblical studies, and there was a season when people, obviously the weather was permitting, and people would, that's what nations did. They went out and they fought. Now that's cooled down a little bit. We have World War One,
we got
World War
a world crisis going on right now in different countries all over the world is warring. I mean, it is crazy looking at some of these countries warring the way they are.
Yeah, but it's not at World War status, though, is what I'm saying. That was worse. And it'll be that way again. I've often said, just based on my prognostication and information gathering, this is probably the best time we'll ever see. Now, I don't know how long this is will be extended, but you can see right now is threatened. And you would agree we're nowhere near the level we were at World War I or World War II. I mean, that's an easy call, right?
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, what do you think about the possibility of Trump deporting citizens?
Wait a minute, you made a massive shift now. You just gave me
because I mean that's a form of I know. I just wanted to put it out there. There has been information circulating on it. Well, it has to do with war since we're talking about displacement of people, right? So
well, no.
No?
There's a lot of movement of people minus. No, I wouldn't classify this as that. I mean, but I see what you're saying. This may be a prelude.
You have to put in martial law for that to happen, correct? To deport citizens, correct? Wouldn't that be a form of? Oh, matter of fact, he also stated that the black people, they want police in their community. They really want police in their community. So he's talking about militarizing the police department. So. Wouldn't that create a problem for the people?
Well, the military already is a paramilitary organization. I mean, the police already are a paramilitary organization. But, okay, look, I want the United States, because I live here, and maybe even if I didn't, I want it to be respected and valued. I don't want the borders. The borders, if you could, are like your skin. This is my example, not yours, but you may agree. The border is like your skin. The skin is the largest organ on a person's body, the skin. And the skin protects the rest of the body. The parallel are borders. People's borders are protected all around the world. If one doesn't have protected borders, effectively they don't have a country. So I don't want people coming, and by the way, coming into a country should be a privilege. It's not for the benefit of the person that's coming in. A quick example, I believe it's Switzerland or Sweden. In order to go to many countries, they want you to have deposited in their bank, $25,000. They don't want you to be a burden on the existing citizens, because otherwise you would have to use resources. So countries have very strict policies as far as people coming in. You go to Mexico, breach the border, hop the border, go into Mexico, and see what happens. They don't play that.
Right.
They don't play that. And so if a country has a right to do anything under the rubric of sovereignty, they have a right, or the right, to protect their borders. And bringing in a bunch of people that really don't benefit the country. Now, I know some people will push back on that, and I'll agree to an extent. We need a policy that allows for migrant workers. We need a better policy for that. But we certainly don't need a lot of people flooding any operational system because they bankrupt the system. You know, it's just like, just a quick example. Wherever you live, I'm pretty sure you enjoy it. Imagine 10 people or even 3 people just say, hey, you know, nobody seems to be doing pretty good. I think we'll go over for an extended stay. How would you feel?
Right. I got
No,
you.
how would you feel? Just tell me. Would you feel invaded?
Oh, definitely. Invaded.
Yeah, and just
overwhelmed.
open your refrigerator. Imagine you've just gone shopping for food, your favorites, whatever they are, and they say, oh, we like this. Let's help ourselves. Right. So just imagine where you live, the country you live, just expand that out. It's the same as your house. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Well, I guess
by the way, do you have a car? I need to go on vacation. How about your credit card? Hand that over and let me use that? Come on.
Right. I got you.
But look here, I'm going to fall back. I'm going to study this little article.
No. I'm going to end it right about now anyway. All I'm going to do is allow the show to, you know, people do what they do. Thank you for calling in. If there's nobody else that want to speak on this topic, I think we said enough. We both are within agreement that military-occupied countries are no bueno. It's no good. It's no good. And
right, but let me say this now, nobody. Let me say this because things have to be nuanced. They have to be nuanced. The poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, Haiti. You're familiar with that. They're French. I know at one point they were French controlled. Yeah. All right, and I think we get I think we get baseballs from there. They're able to construct baseballs. But now, see, this is the thing. In any system, there are people who thrive because they're able to morph and work with. In some military regimes or military-controlled territories, countries, there are people in those countries that do very well. They're respected and this sort of thing because they're in league with the power. They're usually very wealthy. And I would say with respect to Haiti, I know some people from Haiti, and I've interacted with some of those people and listened to their story. And they were telling me that there are houses in Haiti that make houses in Beverly Hills look like matchboxes. You know, or any wealthy place. Beverly Hills is just famous for Hollywood or whatever. But the thing is, no mistake about it, in virtually every ecosystem, there are people that are at the apex of the pyramid, as it were, and they do well. Most people don't, of course, and I'll just tell you this. I was surprised when I found out that it's not easy for people to move. They measure it in quintiles, fifths, from whatever status person was born in America, socioeconomically. They generally don't move of that status. I wasn't aware of that. When I started to look at the research, I was shocked. But my point is this. Even in those military systems, there are people who do very well. They get very wealthy. They do very well. So I don't want to say that in any system that all the people do bad. Most of the people may not do well. That's true. But certainly not all. Does that make sense? Do you follow me?
I follow you. I think you stated that quite a few times on the show that people stay within their
socioeconomic status.
Yeah, tax bracket. Yeah, that if they're poor, they're gonna stay poor. That's what you're saying.
I'm sorry, say again?
That's what you're saying. If they're poor, they will stay poor. They will remain poor, generational poor.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, yes. And now you didn't say you. Now you have to. If you want, let me throw this at you before you go. I would suggest that to have a panel of people, because I could get on and drone all day about economics. I like it. I genuinely do.
No, I'm going to have you, if you want to, next Friday, you come back, you lay out your plan, and you state whatever it is
I'm
that
telling
you want to say.
I'm telling you, I know you have a little time. The plan now is I would ask you to craft or fashion about 10 questions that have an interest in you or for you, and the people that you think might be listening would be interested in. Now, my areas would be personal accretion, financial growth. I know a little bit about housing, purchasing homes. I know some strategic things, and about hard work. And let me just say this:
you know what? Right now, being that the down payments are the housing to buy a house has doubled, in some cases tripled. So an $85,000 home is probably $200,000 now with this economy. So to have some viewpoints on that would be, some information regarding that would help a lot of people out that are listening.
Pay a house off early if you can get in. I agree with you. The main thing is getting in. And now, see, the thing is, I think the average the cost of a house is it's in the $400K, somewhere along in there. That I think that's the average for the U.S. Obviously, it's a lot higher in some areas. But I think what a person would do, there's a way to buy down the interest rate. I don't know if you've heard that term or if you're familiar with that, buying down the interest rate. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, I have. But you go ahead. And
that's a way, and a person would have to work out whether or not that's beneficial for them. But they would have to have additional money. So if the interest rate is whatever the interest rate is, they could, obviously one has to have some money and get it at a lower rate. Maybe if it's 7, they could get it at 5 or 5.5 or something like that. And it's just and to pay off a 30-year mortgage, I was just interacting with some young people that bought a home to pay it off about 8 years earlier. But there are some things that need to be done and get everything in writing. Because usually when you buy a home, the institution sells that mortgage. They may maintain it or service it, but they don't own it anymore. They sell it, discount it. So anyway, but those are some interesting areas, I think. But the economic area, that's the reason I like to watch money. Sometimes I just sit, and I'm going to do it after I finish with you.
But that's the Mr. Solutions. That's what the people been waiting for you to discuss things of what you know, your knowledge as far as that is concerned. All that other stuff, your opinions or your viewpoints on some of the things that are,
let me say
disagreeable. They don't want to hear that. They want it, like Sister Ottawa told you. She said she hasn't learned anything from you as far as economics.
Hold on. That was a damn lie. Okay, that was a damn lie because Okay, listen a minute. You just came back, so you really don't know. What I said, one of the most important things I said, nobody, and hear me clearly, get the fuck out of debt. Now, how clear is that? That's my major thrust. Get the hell out of debt.
Yep.
Get out of debt. I even pointed out to people, I gave let me calm down a little bit because you kind of pissed me off with what you just said.
I'm sorry if I pissed you off. I was just reiterating what someone has stated. That's all.
Don't reiterate shit. Don't reiterate. Don't step in shit, step around shit. And a lot of what people say is shit. I even gave them a formula to note where one should be financially. Multiply your age times your gross salary divided by 10. That gives you where you should stand financially. Now, if you don't have that, work to get it. If you do have that, that's called an average accumulator of wealth, an AAW, right? And that comes directly out of the book, The Millionaire Next Door. So people over here, just realize this and just know it in your heart of hearts. People over here talk a lot of shit, mostly shit. And they'll lie as easily as they breathe. So again, my major thrust is to say to people, get out of debt. And that's not easy. That's not easy, nobody. And nobody, let me say this about you.
No, because I have friends, that's all they live off of is debt. And they say, well, America was built on debt. So that's the excuse for staying in debt. So I
okay, let me respond to that. Let me respond to that. First of all, there are different kinds of debt. But unsecured debt for most people robs them of their financial security. Why? Because debt is designed to make the owner or the person that you owe, it's designed to make them wealthy. What the hell do you think MasterCard and Visa are about? They own all of that debt, which means that people owe them and they get very wealthy. So debt is somebody else's method of financial security. You follow me? Do you follow what I'm saying?
I follow you. A
person who has a lot of debt, the analogy that I would give to you, it's like having a lot of parasites sucking your blood. How the hell, see, that's insane. If you have a lot of debt, that means that your blood is going to whoever owns the debt.
Right. That's right. Well,
so
y'all heard
my
it from
position is...
Hold on one second. Y'all heard it from Mr. Solutions. He'll be back next week, Friday, to discuss...
Well, no. Hold on.
No?
If
I have my questions ready for you. I will have them ready for you. How about next week, Friday? Is that good?
Okay. All right. I'll
have my questions ready for you. If you come on 10 minutes before, we can go over the questions, and you can say yes or no to the questions. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's fine. And I would say, I'd like if you think a panel, several people. See, there are people, let me just say this, nobody. I've done a survey, and there are people over here that know more than they share. Some people over here dumb down for the purpose of trying to fit in. A few, not many, a few. So, and I think you can ferret out those people. But I think a panel discussion may be good if you view it that way. But at minimum, some questions, and I'll take into it.
You're willing to share the airtime with other people. That's what you're saying, Mr. Solutions?
Yeah, I'll do that. You say Friday. All right. And we'll meet on ABC show. And let me say this before you go. And I don't know if you're going.
No, I wasn't going to go.
This cannot be a hit.
This cannot be a hit. I'm sorry. I was just going to allow Tyrone to go ahead and close it down off of YouTube.
Oh, okay, sure.
So Tyrone, you can go ahead and close it out. Hold on one second. Hold on one second, Mr. Solutions.
Okay, I
go
hear
ahead,
you.
Tyrone. You can close it out on YouTube, and we can keep the conversation going on the conference call.